Yes, good people. Big up to all of you, and thank you once again for finding the time to be with me on this particular edition. It could still be called the Blue Morning Show because it's 11:40 a.m. Las Vegas time, my time to be more specific. So, but once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone. I appreciate you all, and thank you for all the support how you've supported the Chelsea Perspective YouTube channel. We're getting closer and closer to 23,000 subscribers. Right now, we're at 22,968. Soon we'll get to 23,000 subscribers. But that's, by the way, we're here for a show, and today we will talk about Tosin Adarabioyo, his importance, why it's important the manager finds a way to accommodate him because he's an excellent player, more importantly. And then we'll talk about Reece James, his situation. We'll talk about Jadon Sancho. The kid is home and is playing like someone who's indeed home. We'll talk about Sancho once again. A lot of stuff out there about Sancho, Benjamin Chilwell. And then we'll talk about Malo Gusto. And then we'll talk about the game. Away win against Bournemouth at their own, on their own carpet, to be more specific. That wasn't easy. And more importantly, if you haven't been paying attention, it's been a while since we last won a game after an international break. So that was again, irrespective of how you see it, an important, you could say, a huge result. But before we do that, I'm going to say hello to those of you in the chat. We have Nemaya Fawale there, the first person to join. I'm glad we won. Are you hearing a whistle, or is it just me? Okay, maybe me. I'm sure I'm not going nuts this morning. And the mind, nice to see you and say that yeah, and Lavia and Gusto back. Yep, we'll talk about that in a bit. It's one of the items we have lined up to discuss this particular morning. Once again, Las Vegas time. Big up to you too, Toby. I'm sorry I can't use my soundboard. I'm using the StringYard system and not EV which has a lot integrated into it. But this one seems easier if again because we're streaming in a vertical format. More likes, people, more likes, 6 likes, and we are 12 minutes into the show. We should be doing a lot better than 6 likes, but I appreciate you all. And quickly, for those of you who are following the show, but for one reason or the other, you're not able to participate in the chat, just know that we appreciate you. And that's because you watching alone does go a long way. But we want to ask you for one favor, one tiny bitty favor, which is to take a second and drop a like on the stream for us. The likes do go a long way. Thank you so much for joining. And for those of you who are following the show on X, not too many people on X because we have a total of 38 people watching and 36 of those on YouTube, the rest on X. If you're following the show on X, please kindly do us a favor, drop a like on the video, share the video, and also do follow our X account to help us reach 5,000 followers as soon as possible. We'd really appreciate that. And we have, I'm worried about Reece James. I'm worried also. We'll get to that in a bit. It's concerning, really. He hasn't recovered from the injury. Again, the rumors are that he suffered a setback. But without wasting much of your time, the last thing we will tackle will be Chelsea's win away against the Bournemouth. It wasn't the best of performances, but at least we've shown that we can grind out results, and that's important to learn. Let's see. The first item we have lined up. I'm not sure how sharing the screen it will look here. Let me know if you can still see my screen. I think it's not bad, really. If I do it like this, it doesn't work. Maybe this one here. Maybe that won't works. I think so. This here, like this too, and this. I think this zooms out a lot more. So I'm just gonna go with that one there. Yes, please go check out Tabejo's YouTube channel. Subscribe. Let's help him get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Get monetized. That way, he'd be motivated to produce a lot more content that he's done in the past. He deserves to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Thank you for sharing that, and the link is there also. So let's start addressing the items we have lined up here. The first one reports from, according to Sky Sports News, reports that Malo Gusto and Romeo Lavia are back in training. They're both back in training, that's good, huge news for us. Again, one that makes me happy. We don't want to go into our next game with a makeshift right back. Gusto is an excellent player. If the manager wants him to invert to help overload the central areas or the attacking areas, he does that effectively. So I'm just happy that he's back. Again, no need to even argue. If I see it infuriates me when I see people arguing whether he's better than Reece James. I think availability is the best ability. His availability, the fact that he's almost always available. If he gets injured, he stays out for just a few days and boom, he's back. Makes him the better player than Reece James, in my opinion. So I'm happy that he's back. And yeah, I'm going to stick with that. So Malo, Gusto, and Ramon Lavia both back in training, full training to be more specific there. And in the case of Romeo Lavia, we were told at the time that it was nothing serious. It was just the club being cautious because we had other players at the time. Yeah, we have other players who are capable. Let me not use past tense there. We have other players who are capable of fulfilling the that midfield role, more like the defensive DM role effectively in what's his name, Renato Vega. He can fulfill that role. Moises Caicedo can also fulfill that role. You could argue even Cesare Caicedo can also fulfill that role. But I'm happy Romeo Lavia is back because he's different. We learned how important he'd be for us going into the season. The moment he was taken off against Manchester City, yeah, they were all over us. That was how you could argue the sole reason why Mateo Kovacic was able to, yeah, he experienced a free ride, if we prefer, in the midfield area and had the chance to shoot. Romeo Lavia, when he was on the pitch on that day, when he wasn't putting in the tackles, he was occupying spaces that made it difficult for Man City's midfield and even attackers to operate efficiently. So we've missed him. And if you're following the show, let me know if you're able to see the screen that I'm sharing. I'm still experimenting. We want to find the most effective way to produce our shows and videos so that you can enjoy it very well. And keep dropping the like on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. 8 likes. We have a total of 80 people watching, 78 of those on YouTube, the rest on X. To like the video when we're using to like this video, if we're streaming in a vertical format, all you have to do is just to press and hold your screen for just about a second. Then you see the option to like, dislike, and comment. Please kindly do that. Usually, that's one of the reasons why I don't like streaming in vertical format. That's because people don't know how to find the like button or to comment, but it's easy actually. And if you want to go full screen, just swipe up. The video will go full screen. Believe me, if you try that, you will never like live streams again, other formats of live stream than the vertical format because it's usually great. But that's, by the way, what else do we have here? And the Maya forward lays and as he said, at this point, give Kowa the captain's bad. Don't be in a rush. I think the manager knows what he's doing. Moises Caicedo, who led on the day, that game against Bournemouth as a captain, may have been on papers to help him, you can say, to be the player, to quickly become the player we know he can be for us. Because yeah, it at one point it seemed as if the price tag was weighing on him, and whenever he travels for international assignments and all that, or if he gets injured and returns, it takes him a while to regain his form fully. So the manager knows what he's doing. Levi Colwell, eventually, I strongly believe, will become the captain, especially if Reece James fails to recover fully. Unfortunately, it's looking like at one point the fans would turn on him. I think you could argue that has started to happen gradually. But that's, by the way, Danny Music, nice to see you. Good evening to you too, and thank you so much for finding the time to be with us this particular morning. It's still 11:49 a.m. for me, Las Vegas time. So yeah, time difference. I know some of you it's already evening. I think our away form has improved. I think we played better away from home. I think for how many, you could argue is it 2 seasons, right? Let me just stick with since last season, actually. Let me just stick with that, so not to throw information out of my wazoo at you. The reason we struggled at home, you could argue maybe to a certain percentage down to the behavior of our home fans, but I don't want to. I honestly do not we do not want to get into that right now. 10 likes, people. We should be doing a lot better than 10 likes. Please, if you haven't, take a second, drop a like on the stream for us to help us garner more likes, which will in turn push the YouTube algorithm, force the YouTube algorithm, that's a more specific language there, to push the stream to more people who've been interested in the topics we have lined up. Yep, that would be good. Let's see. Yeah, you're correct. No worries. I mean, you don't have to go by my time zone. Yeah, but thank you very much for that. So Malo Gusto is back in training, full training to be more specific. Romeo Lavia 17, and I'm glad Romeo Lavia is back. Of all the midfielders we have currently, uh, I've argued this before, and I think I can proudly say that I'm correct. It's a spot and argument. Now, Romeo Lavia, when compared to all the other midfielders we have, he's the most capable of beating the press. He's good at it. He also reads the game better than Casado, in my opinion, even Enzo Fernandez. So he's an excellent player, coupled with the fact that he has a good passing range. I think, yeah, for me, his availability makes us even stronger. But that's, by the way, in the house we have Jay, the 2 a.m. guy. Jay, nice to see you, and I appreciate you finding the time to join the show this particular morning. For me, in 9 minutes it'll be noon. Let me see. But yep, y'all keep dropping the likes on the stream. The likes do go along with. Big up to you too, Jay. Nice to see you. And the man for here saying, Coach, I can see us winning away games this season. That has been the case for a while, but we do struggle at home until that changes. But you never say never. Chances that might have already changed under our new manager, but we'll find out in due time. But right now, I would say there's no cause for alarm. Hopefully, the home match going fans that listen to the fans, hear the complaints of the fans, and at least when they are in the stadium, they'd be there to support the team and not critique the decisions of the owners, boo the players, which for me, I think not okay, really, in my opinion. All right, keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go along with 12 likes. We should be doing a lot better than that. And to like the video, again, I think something a lot of people don't know how to like the video when we stream in vertical format, because it's still novice to a lot of our followers. It's easy. Just press and hold the screen for just about a second. Then you see the options to like, comment, or dislike the video, but at least we want you to like it, not to dislike it. If there's anything you don't know about us, you don't like about us, let us know. There's something I'm looking for here, a command that teaches people how to like the video. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing that here. Give me 1 second. Rules. Jingles. Oof. I can't find that particular command I'm looking for. But anyway, I'm going to keep preaching it. To find the like, comment, dislike button, just press and hold the screen for just about a second, and then you see the option to do either to do one of the actions that I've mentioned. Yeah, Lavia is better than Casado and Enzo. They have their strengths and weaknesses. But Lavia, for me, he's the more suitable in terms of if you want any of the sixes, if you want to charge them with the responsibility of protecting the defensive line, Lavia would do that better than the rest of them, followed by Moises Caicedo, and then Enzo Fernandez, who is in fact a deep line playmaker, not a traditional six, if that makes sense. Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. I haven't seen you. I'm not sure why that is the case, Bobby. I've shared the link. Should I share it again? I'm going to do that once more. Give me 1 second here. Let me share the link once again. Invite, copy once more. Okay, thank you. Yep, I'll share it again. Hopefully that works this time. Maybe that will work. I didn't change anything, to be frank with you. Again, Lavia, I am praying overtime for you. I think we need him. He's an excellent player, and with a lot of people that didn't trust him learned that the hard way when when he was taken off against Manchester City for a reason the manager explained at the time. We did well at home last season, especially towards the end of the season. But there were other times where the fans didn't do as weekend as well as I'd expect them to do, in my opinion. Okay, we got to that in a bit. It says Sancho, though, he will be a beast. I think he will be. If you've known him for a while, you'd know that he's a good footballer. For some reason, it didn't work out. Things didn't work out for him at Manchester United. But I refused at the time to. I, I refuse to agree with people who at the time argued that he has an attitude issue, and my response was that there's no pattern to that argument. So it just doesn't make sense to say that the kid has an attitude issue. And Nkunku should be our striker. I did select him as my number 9 before finding out that Jackson was going to start over him. And especially for me, my argument at the time, even if you liked Jackson as number 9, he did travel for international assignment while Nkunku trained for 2 weeks with the manager. For me, he should be starting in that position. And we know he's a better finisher than Nicholas Jackson. If anything, Nicholas Jackson is just more physical. Yeah, we talked about I guess that has been addressed. Jackson is awful. I'm not going to call him off. He's a good player, but I don't think he should be starting as number 9 for us. Until he improves, his finishing improves. Sorry about that. I see patterns in your treatment of Bobby. Just go. I wish I have the laughing stuff. We need to see consistency from Sancho. I think he can perform consistently. I think he will. He just needs. Here's the thing. There are a multitude of reasons why I've argued the kid will do well at Chelsea. London is home. First of all, London is for Jadon Sancho. He's an excellent footballer. Plus, he likes Chelsea. He's always supported Chelsea. If you for the reason it didn't work at Manchester United, he fell out with the manager. Clash of egos maybe, but I don't think the kid has attitude issue, and he would do well at Chelsea. So keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. Jalga. Kamara, apologies. Just don't use more than 3 emojis. Nightbot, which timed you out, is not a human being. It's a machine that's policing the conversation in the chat to avoid people abusing their rights there. So apologies. Just use 2 emojis, so don't use more than 3, and you'll be all right. Welcome to the community. All we ask of you just to keep it civil. Bobby, big up to you. Let's start with. Remember, we'll still talk about Reece James. We will talk about eventual Sancho, but we'll start by the news that Malo, Gusto, and Lavia are both back in full training. And I was never concerned about Lavia because we were told at the time the club didn't just want to push it. He felt something, and they decided to rest him and be sure whatever he felt didn't materialize. And I think that was a good idea. But Bobby, big up to you, and thank you so much for finding the time to be with me on the panel. I appreciate you joining. Any comment on Malo, Gusto, and Romeo Lavia participating in full training today?
Yeah, big up, coach. It can only be a good thing, but I'm rather tired of these repetitive injuries. I think it's a problem. I would expect that perhaps of Augusto. If someone shows you who they are, you should believe them, and that's going to be his probably stock in trade throughout his career. Look, there are very few positions on the field of a high level top class team in modern football that is slightly beyond overt rotation. Although now, the more successful you are, the more games you play, the more rotation you have to have. But apart from your goalkeeper, centre back two, and maybe one of your central midfielders, if they're very talented too, that's it. Every other position is rotational. Every other position. I'm glad we've got this rotation thing going on with Nkunku. I'm not going to buy this, oh, he has to start, this one has to start. No, doesn't have to start. Can come off the bench sometimes. Give us that strength in depth. We did this with Lewis Hall. Where is he now? Not even on Newcastle's bench. We suddenly lose the ball when we've talked these players in a way out of the club. not saying that's the full thing that drives them, but you know what I'm trying to allude to.
Hmm.
Then
Hmm.
they go to these other clubs, and we say, okay, it's fine. They can be their strength in depth. It's ridiculous. Nkunku will not always start as a striker. He's not a striker anyway. Eventually, when we get a striker, he may pair more, but often, off and on, he's going to come off the bench. This is a guy that has his own injury issues and needs to be nursed to give us a full season. The ultimate aim is to give us a full season. Lavia, I'm concerned, he's missed a few games. Now we're back to square one into getting him out of match rustiness into match fitness. I don't know, I hope it doesn't persist, but he clearly has to be rotated. Between him, Caicedo, Enzo, I think we did well without him. We've got Renato Vega, who you were an exponent of him in midfield. I like the idea. I think he will develop. He needs to do that often and on, and we keep the rotation going. I'm glad Lavia is back training. I'm glad Gusto's back training. It's very important for us. Let's go and start meeting some of these teams with some of our best players.
Hmm.
Hopefully we use him against West Ham. I hope he's fit enough against West Ham because we will need him against West Ham. Make no mistake about it, all their best players will be fit and ready. We're the people that's always messing about, chopping and changing, and everybody ignores the fact that our injuries are ever mounting, ever mounting and inhibiting us. As for, I mean, look at Liverpool. Liverpool haven't used Chiesa. Even Ernie Slot has come out and said he's not going to use him in the next game. This is what top teams do. You rotate and manage your players. As for Reece
And
James,
don't overlook. Yeah,
don't
another way of saying
overload
it.
them.
Don't overload players. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got massive schedules in the Premier League. In all leagues, you've got to manage the game time of your players. Absolutely. Look, Reece James is a worry. He is a worry. I think there's more to his injury than they're even letting us out to do. If the fact that he's not yet on the field, I hope it's not back to the same old, same old. That is a problem. That is a problem now. Um,
Hmm.
we've got to get him back and we've got to manage him. But as soon as he shows any semblance of fitness, if he ever does, I will go berserk if I go anywhere and they're like, oh, Reece James, that's the start. Why is Reece James coming off the bench? He's going to be rotational. That is the only way to give him a football career at all because he's injury prone. Ben Chilwell, okay, he's back in the Premier League squad. There's an argument about him starting on the left back position in certain games because people reckon he will do well with Sancho on that side and at times Pedro Neto on that side. Who knows? He's in the squad. We shall see. But I think Cucurella now is leaps and bounds ahead of him as our choice left back.
Yeah, Korea, he's made it his own. That doesn't mean again, if he performs consistently, he's going to keep his place. But every now and then, rotation, as you've mentioned, is key to ensuring that the players are not overloaded and we don't get them injured. Just the same mistake you could say we made consistently under Thomas Tuchel, which led to, you could say, a lot of all our players at the time were overplayed. Kante, Kovacic, and we had too many players out injured. Even Mason Mount at one point joined them, even though he lasted longer than the others that I've mentioned. And Jay saying, I will repeat again, Sancho is a bomb ticking on Mudryk. Unfortunately, as much as I like Mudryk, I think he has to perform. Otherwise, the club would just take the L and move him on. But I think it will come good too, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to have them both. And look at the sort of players we have right now on either flanks. At the same time, we'll have players who are capable of taking on their man, not shying away, not shy. Now, don't shy away from taking on their man and creating something out of nothing. That makes me happy. We have numbers, and that's what big clubs do. A lot of people were questioning where we were trying to sign Sancho. I think some by now will be singing the club praises for moving for him.
Yeah, I mean,
For
coach, it's
signing
only
him,
about
coaching
20.
yet
It's only
my youth.
It's only 20 minutes of one game. I think we should not get too
And that
carried
that's
away.
that's to show you what he's capable of doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. It's
yeah,
only 20 minutes, but yeah, it's easy to say he can do more because we know he's a good footballer. But go ahead, what you were saying, Bobby.
yeah. I'm cautious of over excitement. Yes, he's done well. Yes, he's done all he can do, but there are
Hmm.
bigger tests ahead, and he needs to take his time. As for Modric, people are saying, the nail has told for his career in Chelsea. I don't think so. I think this is going to help him. He needs the time and the pressure off him.
Maybe the competition.
And the pressure, the competition, and
Mhm.
slowly being put into the team. He's not somebody that's meant to be forced into the team. He's a developing player. No matter what age he is, he's developing. He needs to be trickled in, maybe just used for the Conference League games. Who knows if that's the case, or off the bench. Rotation has to be key. And we must stop this. Oh, this player's not starting. The world has come to the end. He has to leave. No, it doesn't.
Mhm.
That's how it is in big clubs, big teams, big ambitions. You've got to be able to do that, especially as a striker and especially as a winger.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate that. This is saying, Coach, and yet Man U fans telling me we should wait until no, Heston, we have to enjoy it. I think he will come good. His issue was lack of trust from the manager, and irrespective of what they make of him, he created the second most chances for them. Was it what season ago? The last time he played for them in the whole season for them. We know what he's capable of doing. We watched him at Dortmund, and I don't think the case is because maybe the German league or the Bundesliga is the less demanding league. I don't think so. But that's just my opinion anyway. Let's see here. We have Mabaso 5. Nice to see you, my Iraqi bro. I do hope you're doing well. Against Bournemouth, but we should have won 3-0. We could have lost by 3-1, actually. But the positive on the day is that we've showed that we can grind out results. They pressured us, but we didn't falter even under the weight of their pressure. The goalkeeper did well. The players also didn't panic. A lot of positives. But yeah, when was the last time we won a game after an international break? To be honest, yep, the Sissi, he was awful on the day. As I've said before, he without with space, with good enough space, he comes across as good on the ball. But when under pressure, he makes silly mistakes. Unfortunately, on that day, that wasn't actually the case. Even when he had space to do something nice with the ball, he still looked as if he was lacking in confidence. But we'll see over time. Nice to see you, Ty. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us. I do hope you're doing well. I don't have my bullhorn today or the balloons and everything in case anybody is celebrating their birthday today. Unfortunately, experimenting with other ways to present the content with you. Big up to you too. Oh, thank you so much. Great win for us. And we'll get to that game in particular. Mabas, nice to see you. United fans are getting happy over beating Southampton when they just came back into the Premier League. Typical United fans. I knew they were going to beat them anyway. They have issues, but even before, with the issues they have, I knew they were going to beat Southampton, and they did so handsomely, if you prefer. Jackson is not a striker. We've always known. A lot of people have always known that that's the case. That's why he touches the ball too much in the box. We need a clinical finisher. Yeah, one of his biggest problems is he almost always had to have a first touch before trying to score, and you strikers don't do that. That was why even I was going to be content with us signing what's his name, Jean Duran, who shoots instinctively inside the box, outside the box, as long as he's well positioned to have a go at the opposition box, he does that. But that's by the way. Anyway, more likes, people. Keep dropping the likes on the stream. The likes do go a long way. Let's get the likes up. Anything else to address? Otherwise, I'm going to scroll to the very bottom. Tomorrow night, okay, Barnsley 4 United 0. I mean, you cannot script the game, but let's see. If you're following the show, you've not been able to find a way to like the video, it's actually easy. Press your screen for about a second to see the like, comment options. Swipe up to go full screen. So I think I should pin that at the very top so that people can see it. Because we get a lot of views whenever we stream in this format. But usually the likes are low because people, it's novice. The format is novice. to a lot of our followers, so they don't know how to do that. Go full screen, swipe up to see the like option, press and hold your screen for about a second. You'd see that. And anything else now, we got West Ham next. I think we can beat them. And we have again a lot of our starting players ready to help. I really hope so. And please don't play at the CC right back. As long as Malo Gusto is fit enough to start, he, the Sassy doesn't get a chance in that right back position. Anything else? Yeah, they cry a lot. So I'm going to scroll to the very bottom. We'll switch topics and then I'll try to get your subsequent contributions in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. It's still okay. It's gone past noon for me. It's 12:10 p.m. for me. Okay, the next item we have lined up here: Ben Chilwell trained with Chelsea first team today. Truce with Enzo Maresca after missing out on summer move. I don't know what the word truce is doing there. Look, the manager made it clear he doesn't sit the way he likes to approach the game, irrespective of people trying to educate the manager on how to do his job. I get it. We don't always invert. I think in most cases, one side of the flanks of the fullbacks inverts while the others applies themselves in a traditional manner. But yeah, if the manager I'm quite sure there are other reasons why he said it was again. He said openly that he just doesn't sit the way he likes to approach the game.
Look,
But people
with
now are just trying
Maresca,
to educate the manager on how to do his job. But I don't know what the word truce is doing here. Let me read that again, Bobby, then I'll let you come in. This is by, who's that? Kieran Gill. Says Ben Chilwell trained with Chelsea's first team today. Then starts the next sentence: truce with Enzo Maresca after missing out on. I don't know the word truce there for me. I just don't understand what he's doing there. But go ahead, Bobby.
well, this is it, isn't it? It's just it has no relevance to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Enzo clearly likes his fullbacks to be able to beat their man. Ben Chilwell, since he returned from injury, he can't do that. If you watch him closely, he never has beaten his man, ever since he's come back from injury. For quite a while, actually, I would say for a year or two. Every time he's sort of come on, that's been his handicap. His defensive nature is not that great. And the only thing about him, yeah, he has an eye for goal. Yeah, his positional sense is good, offensively, but defensively, he's found wanting a lot. He's not that player anymore. Now, will he be? We shall see. Will he be useful? I think so. But to expect him to be a first team regular, I think that ship has sailed for him. He can go to another club and try and do that, fine. But I don't think any top club is going to have him as a first team regular anymore. He's not up to it.
And irrespective of whether you think he's a good player or not, his salary, given how football has changed, will almost always be an issue. That coupled with the fact that he hardly stays fit. What do you want the club to do? And unfortunately, Chelsea fans, you would always see some quarters arguing how the club, you could say, how we're mistreating him. It just doesn't make sense, Bobby. I'm quite sure you've seen a lot of those. He's been treated unfairly, disrespected. No, we're not saying he deliberately gets himself injured, but this is business and no sentiment. If you want to succeed, if you own a business, know you don't make sentimentality driven decisions. Honestly, you make objective decisions. And in this case, if it's not going to stay fit, I think he'd still face the same, whatever you want to call it, the same situation come next transfer window. The club will practically push him out. And it's that simple, really. But that's, by the way, yeah, I'd like to see that, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I'm trying to see if we can round up as soon as possible. We already have 1,074 views with 19 likes. That's the issue with the vertical format streams. A lot of people will join, but probably don't know how to find the like button. To find the like, comment, dislike button, just press and hold your screen for about a second. Those options will pop up. Then you choose what you want to do. But thank you for finding the time to join us. We sincerely do appreciate that. Yeah, the Southampton players got a sent off because of Garnacho. It was never a red card. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit. We're not reviewing that game here. Chilwell looks scared ever since he came back from that ACL injury back in 2022. I didn't pay attention whether he's scared or not, but it's a possibility. That's usually something that's common with players who suffered such injuries and stayed out for a while. You can say it's a mental thing. Chelsea should buy experienced veteran. We'll get to that in a bit. And please go check out Ty's YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. Let's help him get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. He deserves that. Let's see what else we have here. It says, okay, and he just uploaded a video on Jorgensen versus Sanchez. Go check it out. Good analysis as always from Ty. I'm quite sure that you'd enjoy that. Go check it out. Be sure to watch it. Leave a like and tell him whether you like or don't like the video, but I'm quite sure you'd like it. We still need a world-class goalkeeper. I think we have them. I think the two goalkeepers we have are good. Sanchez has become even better since the arrival of what's his name? Of Philip Jorgensen, and I think that's the case. And Jorgensen will get his chance someday. As much as I believe Sanchez has been excellent since the arrival of Enzo Maresca, shot stopping, distribution, he's done well. I still think that Jorgensen is capable of becoming our number one, and if he gets a chance, it'd be difficult for Sanchez to come back in and vice versa for both of them since they're both good. Yeah, he's been surprising, honestly. Let's not get to that. Sanchez has been good ever since he got called up. I'd say since the arrival of Philip Jorgensen. Competition is good, even for goalkeepers, in my opinion. I've always told people that when the first time I said that, the goalkeepers shouldn't be exempt from competition. When Edouard Mendy at the time was averaging 1 error per game, I was arguing that Kepa should get a chance because otherwise Mendy will feel like it's his place. And no matter what happens, I think that led to us having goalkeeping issues to some point at the time under Thomas Tuchel. But that's by the way. Let's move on from that. The next item we have lined up here. Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. This says that Sancho did not train. It's just news. No need to bring Bobby in for that. When he says Sancho did not train on Monday with only an indoor recovery session being undertaken. There's no injury, and it was pre-planned by the club to manage his load after a period of absence in the top flight, and he will be fit to face West Ham United. I think we've learned a lot. You could argue the detail with regards to what we've learned under the new ownership, is in what wasn't said. But if you're paying attention to what we're doing, not overloading the players. For instance, in the case of Sancho, because he hadn't played for a while before we signed him, is undergoing a recovery, doing recovery exercises while the others are outside playing football proper. So, which means I think we're applying, you can say, common sense here. Maybe there's a scientific reasoning behind it. Fitness, a scientific reason behind it. I do not know, but for me, what I'm learning from what we're hearing, all the languages such as not to overload a player, such as him going through a recovery, doing recovery exercises while the others are on the grass playing football, is telling me we've learned maybe we've been overloading our players, maybe we've been. Yeah, I think that's as simple as that. Bobby, I don't know if you understand what I just explained, if that makes sense to you. All right. If Bobby comes back, I would listen to him. He doesn't look like he's available to speak right now, but keep dropping the likes on the stream, people.
Sorry,
The likes.
what was that,
Yeah.
Coach?
I was saying such languages are not to overload the players, and also the fact that Sancho, it's not like he's injured. He's undergoing recovery exercises. I think I was telling people that the detail is in what wasn't said. I think we've learned not to probably that the reason we had too many players out injured was that we were overloading them. We weren't cautious with the way we used the players at the time. As long as I think you already said something to that effect too. As long as you're ready to play, you get to play, irrespective of whether we can use someone else and give you a break. I think we've learned something. That's what I'm seeing. Either maybe scientifically driven or maybe we're just applying common sense. But let's hear you, Bobby.
Well, it's both, coach. Player management is important. It's so important in this day and age if you want to achieve anything. This almost childish, oh, play him, oh, he has to start. It's silly. This is a squad game, and the objective is success. These players are your employees to manifest that success by
Mhm.
utilizing their abilities. Now, you will have to rotate them. This is just, I would even go as far as to say it is law. Any player coming into Chelsea and says, "Oh, I have to start," is stupid, if you ask me. He's not reasoning. He's at the wrong club. He should go to a Division 1 or Division 2 club because that's where he can start every game. It's not going to happen. In a top 4, top 6 club, it's not going to happen unless you have no ambition. The club has no ambition. It's not going to happen. Even the goalkeepers, look at them, they're on their toes. That's an excellent thing. Yeah, Robert Sanchez, I think part of his good form is that he knows there's somebody knocking on the door behind him. So, but the goalkeeper is the one position that can avoid rotation. But even that position in competitions will be rotated. So so cup competitions and so on. So,
Mhm.
Jadon Sancho managing him back to full match fitness is very, very important and very good. And that's the concern I said earlier I have for Lavia. He's been out for a while. I don't see him starting against West Ham. He might come off the bench, but I don't see him starting because getting back that match fitness, that match sharpness, it takes a game or two, or three, or four. Fortunate thing for us is that he did have some sort of pre-season, so he's probably still got some of that left in his legs. But this players just taking them and throwing them in is just injuries waiting to happen.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Yes, people, keep dropping the like on the stream. The likes do go a long way. And the next item here talks about Jadon Sancho has impressed boss Enzo Maresca with his attitude at Stamford Bridge, as the former Leicester City boss has given him a clean slate to get back to his best in the Premier League. Here's something that makes me happy. We're hearing that his Jadon Sancho against Bournemouth wasn't actually fully fit, and look how he changed the game. In 45 minutes, he changed the game, got an assist, could have gotten 2 assists had Jackson taken the chance he created for him. He created 2 chances. I think he created one big chance out of chances he created. But what a player we've signed here. Us again, fans that knew who he was before we signed him, we were elated. He was coming. Some people were questioning the signing, but I think this guy he will make a lot of difference for us, and I'm happy we signed him. Look at him, wasn't fully fit and did as well as he did on that day. I think the sky is the limit. And I'm glad for points I've mentioned before. London is home for him, and the manager trusts him. And it looks like Enzo Maresca is an excellent man manager. He showed that the kid. He's talked about how the kid or Jadon Sancho, needs love. Maybe he didn't get that at United. And for me, if you ask me if anything, I'd say Eric Ten Hag comes across as manager who has he has ego issues. He fell out with Cristiano Ronaldo. I think Antonio Masha too, and some other players too. Plus him, even Harry Maguire. So the pattern for me, if anything, indicates that Eric Ten Hag at United is the problem, not really those players in question. I get it, Maguire had issues, but I don't think he handled it very well. A lot of you could say he's on several occasions thrown players under the bus publicly, if that makes sense. But that's why I'm happy with signing him, and for how much? For £25 million. And I don't think nothing will lead to us deciding, you know what, we don't want him. I think he will do so well. We'll pay the money even before the season ends if we can. If you get my point there, that would never happen anyway. But I'm just showing you it's a defining my belief in Sanchez the possibility of Sancho doing well at Chelsea Football Club. I'm confident that will be the case. We'll get to that in a bit. Big up to you, to Kishan, my New York bro. I do hope you're doing well, and thank you so much for finding the time to be with us this particular afternoon. You're in New York, so probably 2:24 p.m. for you. At Vegas is still 12:24. Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. We should be doing a lot better than 20 likes. That's what happens when we stream in this format. To drop a like on the stream, just press and hold the screen for just about a second, and then you see the option to like, dislike, or maybe comment on the video. But we need more likes, people. I get it. A lot of views, 1,357 views already. With 35 people still watching, but we can do a lot better than that. And if you're watching the show on X, kindly do us a favor, drop a like on the video for us, share the video, and follow our X account to help us reach 5,000 followers as soon as possible. We'd really appreciate that. And Kishan is saying we're missing out big time on Durant. I wanted to sign that kid. The only issue I had at the time was the asking price. We heard I think they were 60 million pounds, I think. But what I've always talked about is that he shoots instinctively, and you want that, and that's the only thing we lack right now. To a certain extent, you could argue. And had we signed him, I think he'd do well at Chelsea. But I think we still go back for him. I wanted us to sign him when I heard that we can get him for less the price. The initial price we heard out there by the media had out there. But let's see what happens. I think we'll still go back for him. But he's an excellent player. He's, more importantly, again, what stands out for me in his abilities that he shoots instinctively. People did talk about reported attitude issue about him, and I told them that's something that's very common with good players, in my opinion. Fumin, again, we didn't get Duran. Probably right now because you've seen how good he is. The only issue I had at the time was the asking price. Dante probably busy. The timing is a bit off for him. Dante is my bro, and he knows I love him. I know if he has the time, he'd join. So not an issue for me. I'm not concerned about his absence. But he has a boy that usually when his wife is not around, it's his responsibility to take care of the boy. And Dante, if you're watching, much love to you. And there you go. Constantine then. Big up to you, brother, if you're watching. But that's, by the way, let's move on to the next item we have lined up here. I'm happy that we signed him. And something else that I heard that made me happy is that he's earning just 100K per week. So he just wanted out of Manchester United, wanted to play football. And once we reached out, he was willing to come to us. And I'm happy. The kid is home. More importantly, Bobby, let's talk about your favorite Chelsea player. We're there now. This particular report, that's Vince, my bro, quoting BBC Sports. And he reads James remains out with a hamstring injury with no sign of an imminent return. And some other outlets suggest that he suffered a setback. Heston, irrespective of how good he is, I think he needs to. I'm not going to say, if I say he needs to get it together as soon as possible, then I'd be wrong. That's not okay. That's because the injuries, again, he suffered. Has nothing to do. Again, he's not the reason why he's suffered those injuries. I mean, it is what it is, but it is business for all parties involved. If things don't change, I think at one point the club will take the L and tell them you need to find another club, irrespective of what anybody thinks. But Bobby, let's hear your thoughts. Reece James, yeah, it's too much already. He hasn't actually played, but rumors are that he suffered a setback. I don't know whether to believe that or not, but whether that's the case or not, yeah, it's concerning. But let's hear you, Bobby.
It's a very disturbing situation. It really is. It's one that will be very difficult to deal with because of who he is. But at the moment, the club is hemorrhaging money on him. I can't think of any better way to say it. You know, it's a waste of money if he's not fit to play. You know, everything has been done to encourage him within the club, but he's not fit. Look, my take on it is quite simply this. If he struggles this season, I will look to see where to get him to go on loan. Maybe send him next season out somewhere on loan to see whether he can play football. you know, if he goes somewhere on loan and he gets injured, then at least for the period of time he's on loan till he gets injured, the club will be paying him, and probably the deal will be if he gets injured, then they send him back to Chelsea.
Mhm.
We might have to try that to at least be getting something back in terms of revenue from him. I don't know. This is a big season for him. He has to play football for Chelsea. There's no other, that's what he's there for. And if he can't, then for me, that's my solution. I'll say, okay, next, because he's going to be match rusty anyway. He never really got into the groove during pre-season. He was so out of sorts because he was out the whole season. So I would say, okay, we'll send you out on loan. Maybe, who knows? Well, they'll always want Reece James. He's that good a player. And just see if you can get you to play football at all, in another environment. At the moment, he's even inhibiting the club because the club could have invested in somebody in that position. But we're not only losing the money for him, I'm speaking very, very practically here because I love Reece James. So, don't take it for that.
No, I mean
Someone,
we all do. We all
yeah.
do, but
I just think, not only is he an unmitigated, cost, he is also blocking the club and anybody else from stepping into the position. Maybe Achimpong would have been given a contract, a more attractive contract, had that position been available. Because that's a right back position, and then he could understudy Gusto. I mean, I'm just saying, but what I'm just saying is that right now this is not benefiting anybody.
no, it's not in
So
any way.
I hope what I had read was that we're looking to him to come back later this month. I hope that's the case. I was disappointed he's not training for West Ham, but I hope he'll be training for whoever we have after that. Um, that's my hope. If not, then this is a problem with a solution for me, which, okay, I'll say it right. Okay, he's out. Take it, he's out for whatever. Start looking at a loan thing for him next season if he doesn't come back in before December. If he does, okay, maybe we'll see if we can play him into some sort of fitness in bit part games. If he doesn't, my vision will be for next season loan.
Yeah, I mean he's earning a lot. He's one of the top earners at the club.
Yeah,
Not
yes.
not as much as Ben Chilwell, I believe, but I think if he doesn't play, I think the owners did have no option than to say, yeah, you have to move on. The only I just don't know. I don't blame him. Again, I'm saying that, but I'm not sure what to make of his situation anymore. It's crazy. As good as a footballer as he is, would it be 35 million, but with an exchange? And the question is, at the time, maybe the player we wanted to send the other direction didn't want to go. We should have a gun for Duran in the summer. Now Aston Villa will ask, oh, that is if they if they're willing to sell because Watkins is not that young anymore. And if the Saudis come for Watkins, I think he'd take it. And Watkins gets a chance to play in the Champions League this season, which will fulfill probably what I believe will most likely be one of his again one of the things he'd like to achieve as a footballer is to get to a chance to play in the Champions League. If the Saudis come calling after that, I think he's gone, in my opinion. Big up to you too, AD. Yeah, are you back now? I did send you a message what day asking you how everything went. Sorry once again for the passing of your dad. Let me see. I'll check if you've sent me anything since then. But glad to hear that you're back. And once again, my condolences to you and your family, the entire Chelsea Perspective team. We did pray for you. I did put the message in the group, and everybody was leaving you messages there. I don't know if you did get a chance to look at them. But it's all love from our end. Nice to see that you're back. I'll still find time to reach out to you. I wasn't sure if I call you at the time whether I'd get through. But nice to see you back, AD. Once again, it's irrespective of the person's age, it's never a good thing to lose a loved one. But nice to see that you're back. And stay strong, brother. I'll try and reach out soon. Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest. Yep. Anna Slug, welcome to the Premier League. Before then, I think what pundit was that was saying he must think that the Premier League is easy, but he learned on that day. Yeah, that was his baptism. Maybe we need to start looking for suitors for Reece James. It's not that easy, really. Just like I think I've always told people, look, even if we want to sell Ben Chilwell, it's not going to be easy. His salary will almost always be an issue. And the truth remains, had he been willing, if he was willing to take a pay cut, he'd be playing in another club right now. But usually when players move on, switch clubs, they do look for a pay rise. And if that doesn't happen, you can force them out because they know if you really want to match it, buy out their contract. And in this case, he's not getting any younger. And I don't think probably not too concerned about representing England. That's just my opinion. But here's the thing. My overall point is this. His salary will almost always be an issue. Yeah, that was why probably he didn't get a move. If he was willing to take a pay cut, his club, they'd be willing to also take a risk and take him because he's a good player overall, irrespective of what we think of him. But despite the way, Reece James, let's see what happens. The last item here before we start talking about that game, Tosin Adarabioyo won all his tackles. Dusan created one chance in the 28 minutes he played as a sub against Bournemouth. Underrated. Here's the thing. When we signed him, I was happy because he has the intelligence, footballing intelligence of Thiago Silva. He's excellent aerially. It's actually, in my opinion, I think one thing he has over Thiago Silva is he's a better passer of the ball than Thiago Silva. Maybe Thiago Silva is a better overall defender. But Tosin, for me, when we signed him, I was like, yeah, we're not going to miss Thiago Silva that much. But I think to accommodate him, he has to be central, not as a right center back. I think he's struggling a bit. But once if we're, for instance, playing with a three at the back structure and it's the one in a central position, he'd be excellent for us. Or in a four at the back structure, and he's one of the central guys, I think he'd be fine on the right hand side because he reads the game very well. He has excellent passing range, and in most cases, he actually keeps it on the ground. He keeps it on the carpet, and he hardly misplaces passes. He's a human being, but that hardly ever happens. And before he came on against Bournemouth, I made a post on X saying we need Tosin's cool-headedness. Yeah, because as well as Levi Colwell, you can say the pairing of Levi Colwell and Wesley Fofana, as well as they've done in the games they've started for us, the truth remains. We need a cool-headed player such as Tosin to pair. Let me be more specific here. I'd rather see the pairing of Tosin Adarabioyo and Levi Colwell. That would be perfect. Yep, he's excellent aerially, excellent on the ball. Hardly ever panics no matter the pressure he has on him, and also he likes to keep the ball in most cases on the carpet and finds his man almost always, all the time. We need that cool-headedness. I think we can always rotate, but I think this guy should be starting for us in the Premier League, in my opinion. Pair him with Levi Colwell, who's also proven. He's also shown the sort of form he showed on that Deservy at what's his name, Brighton. But we need Tosin to be starting game for us. I think he's a better defender, in my opinion, than what's his name. Than Wesley Fofana. If anything, maybe Fofana has more aggression than him, or maybe a much better ball carrier than him. But Tosin, for me, reads the game better. Never in a hurry. Don't make rash decisions. Don't risk too much when he doesn't have to. But let's see what the manager does. Give Colwell the armband. I wanted to get Bobby to talk about that. Bobby, given the absence, constant absence of Reece James and the captainship, you can say the captaincy armband. You can say has been won by Enzo Fernandez. He's won the armband. Now Moses Caicedo. A lot of people in that game were saying that should have been Levi Cole. I think for me, you could argue he has the way he applies himself on the pitch, very vocal, doesn't hesitate to go to the referee to speak with them, not in an aggressive manner. If he has any complaints, you'd think that actually on the day that he was the captain, and not Casado. But Bobby, let's hear your opinion on that.
I think Maresca has his own idea about the captainship. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he seems to want to rotate it, and particularly rotate it um, amongst the two central midfielders. Um, I don't really know if I have that much of a strong opinion, to be honest. I think I think he's going to keep doing that until somebody kind of turns out to be a natural. That's just what I think is going to happen. I'm not sure that it's anything to particularly worry about. And you see, the good thing about it is that this is a new team. Everything is new. Everyone is new. We're all still learning about the team, about the leaders, about who is who, and that sort of thing. It's all a big learning process. And Caicedo, did he do badly as a captain? No. Was it noticeable? Not really. I don't think it was that relevant on the day. Um, I don't know. I'm not really making a big deal of this at all. I think it's enough to have players that are fit, that are able to wear the armband, and I think it'll more often than not be defaulting to Enzo.
Yeah, and he's proven to be a good leader whenever he has an armband. Even without the armband, he's shown that he can actually lead. Um, I don't know whether I don't think it makes sense to argue whether he's the most vocal or not, but at least he leads by example, and that's something that doesn't come easy. I appreciate that. Enzo Fernandez, yeah, not a bad captain at all. He's proven that he can actually lead. I think he actually ups his game a notch whenever he has the armband on. I think
The
we've
the thing
actually had
about
that conversation here. Go ahead, Bobby.
the thing about a captain is not even so much what you do on match day; is what you do off the field.
Mm,
You know, the
yeah,
things
that's
that
important.
people
Yeah.
like John Terry and Cesar Azpilicueta used to do off the field was very important. And they integrated and bounced off other leaders in the team a lot. That comes with team dynamic. Enzo looks like he's very capable to do that. There are lots of leaders in that team, much to what a lot of people don't think. You know, I think Wesley Fofana has his own sort of leadership quality. I think we've
Hmm.
mentioned Levi Colwell. Jackson, in his own way, leads up front. You know, there are a lot of them, and um, the one standout leader can be Enzo, but that leader has to be able to integrate and utilize the other leadership qualities of the team. This is a young team. It's growing. It's building, and you know every vacuum will be filled. The leaders will start to show, for sure.
Yeah, Bobby, I haven't heard your opinion on Tosin. I think he should be starting games. I understand that. I think we do need them. That the sort of calmness he brings to that back line. And if you paid attention, every time we have the pairing of Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwell on the pitch, if we concede, they start you can say panicking a lot. They start making a lot more mistakes after we concede goals.
Yeah, I mean that's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Wesley and Levi are developmental and they need encouraging, and at the same time, Tosin does bring something somewhat extra to the defense. It's difficult. It's easier when you have to play someone at right back. I always felt it was silly even trying to play Desassi at right back. It
Mm.
should have always been Tosin and Colwill with Fofana at right back. I'm talking about against Bournemouth. Although, it seemed to be a good ploy to do that later on. It's difficult. Now, this is where, because of our strength in depth, it becomes something that needs to be managed diplomatically, because you don't want to discourage any player. And at the same time, you want to be brutally honest and focused on the best. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he doesn't try that against West Ham. But that means either one of those centre backs that we have already will drop to the bench. Um, yeah, he might try that and then start with Fofana as a right back, and then bring Gusto on later, instead of just starting Gusto immediately. But he has the players to work with. Did Tosin bring some stability? Yes, he did. I think he helped Colwell on the left and him on the right, and Fafana on the right back, sort of far right position. Yeah, it's a permutation. It's something that, you see, one thing that's going to be important against West Ham is physicality. They are very physical, and you've got to have some of these physical guys there, and he's one of them. So yeah, but for him to nail it down, that will take some time and take him continuously turning out performances like that, and then naturally it will start to become his own.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate that. Yes, Nicole, Captain, let's see, Habibi, let's see what the manager does. So what do you think about putting Fofana at right back while Gusto and Reece James are out? Fofana is not disciplined enough to play down the middle. Down the middle, the right back could work. I mean, he could, given the fact that he likes to drive the ball and all that. Actually, the application of his role since under Enzo Maresca, you see him a lot on the right hand side actually. And but his thing uh, currently Gusto, he's recovered. He participated in a full training session today, so he gets to play. So, but let's see what happens there. I don't think if the manager has natural right backs or traditional right backs, irrespective of how they apply themselves on the pitch, I don't think the manager would want to experiment for reasons we've talked about here. Tosin is also a better area. Yep, we've talked about that. Yeah, man, nice to see you, Shanks. Hyde, nice to see you, Vic. I appreciate you finding the time to join the show. I do hope you're doing well. Yep, Hyde, people. Hyde. Colwell has actually been good. Yep, I'm not disputing that. It is Fofana who cannot play centre back. He's been a bit shaky as well as he's done. I think if he plays constantly, probably he will regain the form he showed at Leicester City before we agreed to pay that much money. I think it was north of 60 million pounds or so. I can't quite remember. But that's, by the way, I like Tosin, but he makes a Badia Sheila style mistakes that gets intercepted. Fafana being one-dimensional actually helps him make less mistakes. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. Tosin doesn't make too many mistakes, in my opinion. I think Houston, I just think we need his cool-headedness. Now I can't say that word. If you get my point, so that we don't see a lot of our defensive line start panicking whenever we concede or whenever the opposition put a lot of pressure on us. But if you get my point, okay. Let's right now. Let's move on to that game. We won 1-0, but in all honesty, that game, had we lost to Bournemouth, I think it'd be correct to call it a deserved win for them. But the fact that we got a win, we didn't. That wasn't our best performance. Our best performance. But the truth remains, it was a good win. It was an important win. And we showed that we can actually grind out results. We were resilient. They were on us. We defended very well. The goalkeeper also did very well to keep us in the game, because had it not been for the goalkeeper's brilliance, our chances would have lost that game by 3 goals to one. But all the players on the pitch that day did very good. I haven't rewatched it to say maybe a certain player performed on the day, but collectively, I think it was a good team performance. We didn't crack under pressure. I get it. They got past us and tried our goalkeeper, but he answered whenever he was called upon. 1-0 win, an important win, and I don't remember the last time we won a game after an international break, because usually the international break it halts our momentum, and you could argue it did that, because we didn't, with the pattern of play that we observed the game 2 games before the international break, didn't show. Even that particular game we lost, we didn't see anything close to the pattern of play we experienced in those 2 games before the international break. So I'm happy that we showed the art, irrespective of how bad we play, we still find a way to win game. And thanks to the excellent, the brilliance of Jadon Sancho, and also what's his name, Christopher Nkunku, whom I thought would actually was going to start that game. But that's, by the way, Bobby. Let's hear your review of that game. What do you make of it? We'll still talk about Anthony Taylor. It was an awful performance on his end, also that day. But let's hear you, Bobby. All right, I'm gonna keep reading. Once Bobby comes back on, he can take over and talk about the game. Let's see. I like Tosin. Yeah, I think I've read that one. My Wi-Fi is currently weaker than our
Yeah, good.
defending. Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
I guess, um, the game. Look, this was a game that I personally believe last season we would have lost. Not least to
Mm,
mention because we had no players to play with. Somebody once said, I don't know whether it was even you on this platform today, saying, look, who can remember the last time we won a game after an international break?
hmm.
Some of the players had that same international break handicap. I don't think Pedro Neto played particularly well, gave away the
He
ball a
didn't.
lot,
Yeah.
lost the ball a lot. And I think that's all that sort of international break situation. Now, Desasi didn't go on international break, but he is clearly still finding match fitness. Didn't really have a preseason due to injury. Was never really very good at right back anyway. But all that sort of thing. So I think this was a game that we would have lost last season, and it was a game that really this is where your goalkeeper, when you have a good goalkeeper, he saves you, and that's what Sanchez did. He saved us. Even the penalty he caused, he saved the penalty as well. He saved a lot of goal bound shots. Um, it was a fight battling performance, and for me,
Hmm.
a performance that is of successful teams. This is what you do. You're not playing particularly well. You go away from home. You come under the cosh. You have to dig deep sometimes and rely on the individual brilliance of people like your goalkeeper, and then suddenly quality shines through and you get a goal. In our case, we were also, I mean, to be fair, the way Anthony Taylor handled that penalty was okay. But I don't trust him. He does his most dirty work later on in the game. And he was trying to do that later on in the game for Chelsea, against Chelsea. When we scored, I think he hated it and started upping the ante to try and at least get an equaliser. But it didn't work out that way because we were then on top of the game. Look, it was a good win. For me, this sort of win was really worth a celebration because it's for me, it's a marker of our progression. I think this is a big progress for us. And if we can get these players back from injury, your Lavias of this world, please God, Reece James as well. I think we can look forward to the season. I think we've got a very, very, very good young team. Yeah, they'll be learning, but they're doing things well. I do get frustrated from Maresca tactics, I have to say. I just don't really like this pass, 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 pass. Even when in front of goal, you want to pass the ball into the net. That's a bit frustrating for me. I get it. Bournemouth played well. They were very compact. and players were hesitant to fire shots into bodies. Okay, maybe, but I felt a little bit sharper thinking, particularly from Jackson, who didn't do much wrong, to be honest. Even the chance he had and people were blaming him for, there were bodies in front of him. Um, I don't think he did badly. However, Nkunku did show just that little bit extra quality
Yeah,
where
that Jackson needs in this game.
yeah, I mean, but Jackson's young, he's learning, he will learn from that because Nkunku showed him how to finish in that sort of situation. Look, it was a good win. I think a win we should be happy with. And as Maresca said, first half, not so good. Second half, we really showed ourselves to be who we are. I think it's a very, very positive step forward.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the win, irrespective of what anybody thinks. Like I said a few minutes ago, it's that sort of game that had we lost, I think it'd be a deserved win for them because they were on us for majority of the game. The game finished with us. We again 67% of possession. That's nothing. Expected goal is 0.78, and theirs to theirs, which is 1.78. Yeah, so we were lucky actually, but at the same time, we were resilient overall. We defended well, we played as a unit, didn't panic even under pressure. Didn't panic or under pressure, and I think that helped us grind out that win, and that's what good teams do. Whether you play well or not, you find a way to win. And also, Bobby, I remember how often bitter you were, given how many players we averaged 8 players out at the same time with injuries last season. You complained a lot about that, even when we're struggling. If you look at our bench, there'll be nobody except for kids from the academy. Some of them actually answerable for the positions where we were having issues at the time. But this time, you look at our bench, especially for the attacking areas. With we quickly again, we've always called for Enzo Maresca to make changes as soon as possible because yeah, our bench this term has looked very good. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, or should I just move on?
Yeah, we could move on. We all know what happened with the injuries last season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a matter of complaining about it. It was just clear to see that we were faced with a Herculean mission of playing with virtually nobody and playing the same
Mm-hmm.
players over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe complaint isn't the right word there, but you weren't happy. There's just something to really get my point there. Let's see. Some match last season, we would have played for 0-0. Yeah, we've seen occasions where the manager bring on defensive players when we need goals. We would have played for 0-0 draw, or sadly lost it. Maresca infusing attacking options instead of bolstering defenders alone seems like a newer approach. Hope he continues. I think he will continue like that. It's always attack. Hardly ever chooses to defend, and I think that will go a long way for us. Yeah. And Brian Mawoko is saying, I've been long. Hi to you too, Mr. Brian. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding the time to join us this afternoon. Hopefully, your absence simply means that, yeah, you've been busy with work. And if that's the case, it's a good thing because bills don't pay themselves. But thank you for finding the time to be with us. Always nice to see you. Let's see the matter for let's say, and no ownership drama. Thank God. Yep. We played badly, but like Bobby says, top four teams will have 4 or 5 games where the keeper saves you. Our previous title winning teams have had a great goalkeepers. Yep, and I've also had worse games and still won. Yep, they've also played worse than we did on that day and still won games. Yep. I think I'm not bitter about it. And the question you should ask yourself is this: when was the last time we won a game after the international break? It hasn't. It's been, you can say, bad omen for us, for lack of a more specific language. It halts the progress we've made, and then when we come back, we struggle to beat teams and even actually even at home, we struggled to win games after international breaks. If fans are expecting the team to play beautiful football all the time, I'm sorry to disappoint you because it won't. Yeah, it won't. It won't happen. Expect more games like the game against Bournemouth. Yeah, just if we win, I don't care how badly we play, as long as we find a way to win. And I think we have the depth to always bring on one, two, three players to help change the game for us, and we win games. Grind out results, maybe. I don't think we did so. We I don't think so. Okay, we do well. Lavia and Gusto in back now. Yeah, both are good players and will make a lot of difference. So XG, yeah, 1.78 for them and 0.78 for us. Total shots, 19 shots. Yep, 19 shots. There's and 10 shots. Us. Shots on target, 7 of theirs and 3 of us. So you could argue once again. I'm sorry for saying that again. Had we lost that game, it'd be that sort of result where if you're telling yourself the truth, you'd say, yeah, they deserve to win. But we did grind out the result, won by a goal to nothing. Yeah, that's what big teams do. It doesn't have to be pretty, just find a way to win. And I think the manager did his job. And Jadon Sancho, once again, I'm sorry I have to talk about him. Um, we've been told that he wasn't fully fit on that day, and look how well he did. I can't wait to see a fully fit Jadon Sancho. I'm happy we signed him. I think he's actually on that day, probably, in my opinion, one of the best wingers we have around. I like Noni Mudryk. I'm not trying to compare them, but in all honesty, Sancho is a productive dribbler, in my opinion. He dribbles with papers, doesn't just trying to dribble the man for the sake of it and end up not knowing what to do with the ball or just blast it against the opposition player. But every time he has the ball, whenever he completes a dribble, you'd see him do something nice, productive with the ball. So I think it'd be correct to say Jadon Sancho. I like Nani Madueke. I like the improvement I've seen on his side, and you say how better he's become. I'd still say Jadon Sancho is a more productive dribbler, given that every time he dribbles, it is with papers, it is objective, maybe if there's anything like that in football, but that will help you. That language will help you understand what I mean. He dribbles objectively, not unnecessarily, and see all the passes created. Could have had 2 assists on the day. I'm not saying blaming Jackson. I think if Nkunku got that chance, I think he'd put it in the back of the net. And I don't blame Jackson because I've always known he was never a striker. Just had to deputize it for an injured player at the time when Villarreal used him as a striker. So I'm not blaming him. I think he has a lot that he does correctly. But here's still, I'm sorry, but when it really matters, the most important thing doesn't do it correctly. I think Nkunku should be starting at number 9 for us, in my opinion. And if you interview him, he'd tell you he's a number 9. I get it. The temptation to always deploy him in a deeper position will always be there because, yeah, he's excellent on the ball. He has good vision too. Yeah, he is good at, again, he has good passing range and all that. But let's see what the manager, maybe he's learned something new on the day. He's a quick learner, the manager, I believe so. And maybe he changes things around. What do we have here? So let's continue looking here. Big chances won a pit. Big chances missed. They missed theirs. Yeah. Accurate passes. We did better than them, but yeah, we are a possession-based team. Fouls committed 9 to theirs 16. Wow. I think at one point I read something, a post by Vic on X, which was saying at the time that they were physically, they are bullying us. They were bullying us at the time, but I think we dealt with it effectively. Maybe that was the reason why the manager decided to start Renato Vega, and quietly he had a good game. It wasn't perfect, but he had a good game in my opinion. And we'll look at their numbers in a bit, and after that, then we can call it a day. 26 likes. I know had this been the landscape format, I think we'd have a lot more likes than just 26. But that's by the way. Was KDH injured? I don't know. Maybe the manager is doing his thing behind the scenes. I think it will come good. Maybe he is. I don't know really. Brian Malkin saying, I am worried that Maresca takes a long to hook players. I don't think so. as long as it works. I could see the CC was having a bad day at the office, but waited. But he waited until the second half to do something about it. And Nkunku should have come on earlier. Sometimes you don't just do. Sometimes you just let the player on the pitch try change things around, see if that works out. And I think he did that on the day. And when that didn't work, that was when he brought on Nkunku. And you could argue it worked, irrespective of what we think about, again, the timing of the change. Let's see what else we have here. It says so. Maresca picked Viega over KDH, possibly. I don't know, but KDH wasn't even on the bench, so something might have. We don't know what happened. Maybe I honestly do not know. Sancho's understanding connection with Kuku was great to watch, so to speak. Even though they barely trained it together for just a few days. And let's talk about something here. Some of the players that played in that position, like Mihailo Mudryk, even Pedro Neto, would want to find space and run down the flanks. But in the case of Nkunku, what he did, Jadon Sancho, what he did, he saw Christopher Nkunku. There were players on him, but he still was able to pick him out of that in the crowd there. The ball got to him, and then Nkunku did his thing, did the rest of did his thing, and scored that excellent goal. So Sancho, the way he look at, there was the one he found Nicholas Jackson. He had two men on him, two opposition players on him. He found a way he drag them into the box, thereby creating a space for Nicholas Jackson, because the two of them was focused on them. He used his side foot, basically you could say not kick actually, and dragged the ball to Nicholas Jackson, who didn't make the most of it, but I don't blame him anyway, because somebody he had to find a way around the player that was standing before him. But I can assure you, even the likes of Jadon Sancho, even Cole Palmer would put that away, in my opinion. But no need to slate him here, and I don't want to do that. Coach, I hope we get that top spot of fair and square, and not through the and not through the back door. I know who's stuck in. I think we will. We have an excellent squad. I did say that under Mauricio Pochettino actually, but tactically I didn't trust him. But he did well. He did finish well. But the truth remained, the injuries we had under his reign at the time didn't help. For being honest, KDH was ill according to Maresca. Oh yeah, thank you so much for that update. Because that was actually before the game. Then in a post-game, pre-game interview, I think the manager did let the press know that he and Enzo Fernandez were both ill, and that was why, they weren't on the match part of the squad on that day. Does Mudryk even get something? And I think he will. Lots of games to play. 2 cup games. And soon next year we would have the Club World Cup and the UEFA Conference League Cup. So lots of games to play. So you will get the opportunity to show the manager you should be starting in the Premier League or vice versa. There are lots of games to play, and I think he'll still be here. But if he doesn't perform this season, no improvement, I think maybe, that's just my opinion, the club maybe will start to look to move him on. But let's see what happens. Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. We're at 2026 views, but 27 likes. That's the issue with the vertical format live stream. People usually don't know how to find the like button, so usually the likes are low. A lot of people will be watching, but still the views will be high, but the likes will still be low. Here's what you do: if you want to see the like, just press and hold the screen for about a second, and then you see the like, dislike, comment options. Do whatever you want to do, but we want more likes, of course. We want to get it. See if we can get it to at least 30 likes before we round up, because we'll be rounding up soon. But thank you for that. No matter for all I said for Mudryk, he should move on. I don't think it's that simple to move him on, because I get it. Doesn't earn that much, but the truth remains, the owners would want to get a sizable fee from his sale should they decide to sell him, and that's not going to be easy. Good day to you too. Zion, big up to you, brother. Always nice to see you. And everyone in the chat. Sorry, I haven't you can say said hello to you whenever you're live for a while now. I would do that as soon as I can. But much love to you. Nice to see you, Jace. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you for finding the time to join us. You're starting a fight already. Yeah, tell him that. Big up, Nee. Let's see what else do we have here. I think that's it. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat because we'll be rounding up in a bit. And soon I'll be on my way to go get my boys, but I have to leave earlier because I need to go take care of something else before I go to this school. So we still have 54 people watching, 38 on YouTube, the rest on X. If you're following the show on X, do us a favor, take a second, like the video, share the video, follow our X account, and help us get to 5,000 followers as soon as possible. We're getting closer and closer to that important milestone on X, and hopefully you can get there. Yep, 5,000 followers on X. We're getting closer and closer, and we are posting a lot more on there, entertaining our followers, keeping them updated. Some of them, strictly my opinion, some my opinion on what's going on with our beloved club. Anything else here? Let me see if anything new has emerged. Nothing new, Bobby, but if you have anything new you want to talk about, you go ahead. Let me go to Vincent's Twitter feed, X feed, to see if anything new has emerged. 28 likes, 2 more to get it to 30. Let's make it happen. It's easy. Just press and hold the screen for about a second. You see the like, comment, and dislike option. So here, 1 hour ago, Reece James has suffered a delay to his long-anticipated returning. Let me see if I can share the screen with you. I'm not sure you can see it, but I'll try. Reece James has suffered a delay to his long-anticipated return to Chelsea. The defender's latest hamstring injury has not healed as well as expected after he got cracked again in the summer. Okay, has not healed as well. It's not like he suffered a setback. So that's my understanding of that. I hope Chukwuemeka gets a shot in this team, coach. I don't know. The manager, he said he likes him, but maybe I did see a few reports. I think it was a few days ago suggesting that Carney, is actually looking to move on. That's because he wants to be playing, and if that's not going to happen at Chelsea, he looked to move on. And if that's the case, the club wants a permanent sale. They don't want a loan deal for him. He's a good player. The manager likes him. But in most cases, we must pay attention to what's going on. Really, everything I've read suggests that the player himself wants to be playing, and if that's not going to happen at Chelsea, he'd look to move on. And we have a Kenyan revolutionary. Nice to see you. Listen carefully. Sancho didn't start performing well until Tosin and Felix came in. Note that. Wow. That is deep. I'd have to watch the game. I can't say I agree with you, but I'd have to watch the game. Maybe you're correct. That may well be the case, bro. But I can't say for certain I agree. In all honesty, because remember he came in second half. I think again he was good on the pitch. A good combination play between him, Felix, and also Nkunku. I don't know. Chances are you're correct, bro. But I'd like to see that game again. In all honesty, I don't know whether that's the case. But at the same time, I can't say you're wrong. But that's a chance you're right. Maybe you've watched the game again. Yeah, Reece James' story there. Ben Chilwell trained with Chelsea's first team today. We've talked about that. Reece James remains out with a hamstring injury with no sign of an imminent return. We've also talked about that. And Kenya Revolutionary says, no, I'm watching the repeat right now. Okay, so chances are you're correct. You get my point, bro. I'm not saying you're wrong. Chances are you're correct. You get it. So, yeah, because I haven't watched it again. Here, this is saying Sancho has also been struck by Maresca's man management, as if I knew. I think there are things I've seen. The way he speaks about his players publicly, to me, I've always argued that I think he's a good man manager. Sancho has also been struck by Maresca's man management with the Italian private chat with the player, making it clear that the former Man United winger has a clean slate and there will be no looking back on his time at Old Trafford. Wow. That is deep. Sancho, more importantly, I'm going to say this, I've said it before, he's home. And for me, I agree. Again, that alone makes me happy that he's home. That's one of the reasons why I wrote that. It's a short analysis of why I believe he'd do well. I think I actually need to do a video on that. Yeah. Yes, introduction of Tosin and moving Palmer to right winger. That's a breakdown of what Kenya Revolutionary is saying. So let's pay attention to what Jesse has to say there. Yes, the introduction of Tosin, and I called even before he came and I was saying we need him to calm down our defensive line. Introduction of Tosin and moving Palmer to right wing with Felix Asten. All these improved the balance of team and quality. We bossed the game as from a minute 60. Wow. Okay, that's a good breakdown there. So that's why I say I haven't rewatched it to understand why that's the case. But a baller will always be a baller. But those adjustments, they helped. So clear there. But make no mistake, Sancho was a balling. He was relentless from all parts of the field. And just then, I want to know what you guys make of my definition of how. Again, if you have to compare him with Noni Mudryk, I'd say he's a more productive dribbler. He dribbles with papers. He doesn't dribble for the sake of it. Every time he completes a dribble, something nice happens. Yep, like I've explained, the one he dragged the two Bournemouth players down the flank into the box a bit, isolating Nicholas Jackson and found them. His dribble was very productive. And when that's not the case, he brings the ball back and not tries to just dribble for the sake of it. So I stick with my definition that he's a more productive dribbler than Noni Madueke. And I love him. Yeah, and you're right. Make no mistake, he balled. I agree with you. Sancho is reportedly earning 100K a week, according to Capology. Who that is, I don't know. For Give Me Sports. If that's the case, I like him. He just wanted a home, and he's found one. And remember, I don't see what will lead to us saying we don't want him anymore. I love him, and I've always known he's a good player. I didn't question his signing for one bit. Coach Noni is an excellent individual player, but he has to improve his contribution for playing as a team player. Yeah, I think I agree. He tries to do everything himself. Yeah, so it'd be correct to say Sancho is a more productive player. He always needs his teammates in most cases, 1-2s when need to be. Before he decides to dribble, he ensures he's going to complete it. And once he completes it, something nice happens. So that's an excellent contribution right there. Maresca already been impressed by Sancho's attitude, according to sources who state that he's already made a real impression at Cobham, including arriving at training early than scheduled in his first week and taking his time to introduce himself to the training ground. I think there's a lot more there, but I don't want to expand it. I've seen enough, and I want to see it there. That's because I've argued before. Listen, we heard people arguing that Sancho has attitude issue, and my response at the time was, there's no pattern to that argument. There's no pattern to justify that argument, so to speak. That's because he's only had issues at Manchester United. At Dortmund, he balled. United signed him. Then the issues in question emerged, and when he went back to Dortmund and helped them reach the Champions League final, and they could have won it. And if you paid attention, I'd say Eric Ten Hag is actually the problem at United. He fell out with Harry Maguire. He fell out with Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he also fell out with what's his name? With Casemiro, but I think he probably retracted. He handled that differently a bit, and it didn't escalate. And I think one more, and the fact that what's his name? The Portuguese international, Manchester United, who's performed consistently for them for 4 seasons right now. Hernandez, or is it Hernandez or Fernandez? How do you pronounce his own name? Had to go comment on Sancho's post, where Sancho was thanking the Chelsea fans about, again, how they welcomed him, the support he got from them. he posted something to the effect of something you could interpret to him saying, I've always known that you're a baller. You can also go to the extent of interpreting as saying, I've always known that the reason you didn't do well at United wasn't your fault. Something to that effect shows you that for me, Ten Hag has always been the issue at United, and I don't think he'll last long there, in my opinion. Noni is auditioning for Newcastle. That Brazilian kid is coming next summer to take his position, and also the Ecuadorian kid will replace Mudryk next season. Ecuadorian kid, is he a winger? He's not. I wouldn't say that's the case. He's not a winger, but again, I get where you're coming from. Give me a second here. Let me handle something. So, but let's see what happens. Really, the competition is good for us, and that's why we've been telling people that the owners, yeah, they've made mistakes, but they've done a lot of good stuff. They've been proactive in terms of signing players, and we're not going to be spending a lot of money signing big name players in the coming years. And Sancho was confident in purposeful from the second he touched the ball. When he came on, of course, all this coming on and changing information did help him shine. But remember, JC did follow up his comment with, make no mistake, Sancho balled. And that's, yeah, the changes helped. But Sancho, as I've said, for me, he's a productive dribbler, which implies that, again, he hardly, again, that's he every time he starts to dribble and process, he completes it. For lack of a more specific way to get that point across, I think Sancho would be great with someone close to him, and that person is Nkunku. The understanding between the two of them and the interplays looked excellent, and it was enjoyed. Even Cucurella, don't count Cucurella out. How he helped, the overlapping, underlapping runs were excellent from Cucurella. Things like holding the ball for a couple of seconds. Yep. Given time for Cucurella to overlap, things like these makes opening for Sancho, and he was very intelligent. That's something the word I've been looking for. Sancho, he's an intelligent player overall. More importantly, and this is something that Nani has to pick up. Yep. So it's still correct to say Sancho is the more productive dribbler of the two. He fell out with Garnacho too. Yeah, exactly. So clearly the issue at United is Eric Ten Hag, never was Sancho. And I'm glad we analyzed that effectively and said there's no pattern to justify the argument that he has attitude issues. Nani on another side tried to take on 4 players and was overcrowded on a few players.
There's one thing I
Go ahead.
really, you know, in football, a game is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting slightly too carried away with this one game.
No, but
20
we're just
minutes
looking.
of one game of a
Go ahead,
debut.
Bobby. I'll let you drop. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 20 minutes of one game of a debut. That's why I wasn't happy where he was given man of the match ahead of Robert Sanchez, who actually was the man of the match. He played very well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one game. You know, I think there's more tests to come, and there may be one or two not so good games. You know, this was his first game. He was highly motivated to come on and perform, and he did. He couldn't do more than he has done. But I'm not going to get carried away. You know, football is a strange game. You know, sometimes players don't always have the best of games, and then they don't look so great. So, so far so good, but I'm not going to say, oh, you know, he's so good and it's Ten Hag's fault. And no, I don't think so. I think we need to give him a couple more games
But Bobby,
and
you can
see
agree
whether.
he doesn't have attitude issues.
Well, so far, I don't think he does. You know, but so far, as I've said, you know, there'll be bigger tests to come, bigger decisions that, you know, he may not agree with, times where he may be substituted, he may not agree with. These are older now. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I do think we need to give it some time.
Yeah.
We need to give it perspective.
Yeah, and just like JC is saying in the chat, I didn't think again. I think Sanchez deserved the man of the match. You could argue was if it wasn't for his brilliance between the sticks, we could have lost that game by 3-1 because they were on us.
Absolutely.
Penalty save, even beyond that, a lot of other good saves. And I understand your call for cautious optimism, but I think a lot
Mm.
of people, their praise and their, you can say, the praise of Sancho, you can say it's mainly driven by the fact they've always known that he's a good player. And there are samples, the fact that he went back to Dortmund and helped lead them to a Champions League final confirms that, yeah, he said the bad run at United was never his fault. But go ahead if you want to add to that so that I can catch up and we call it a day, Bobby.
I just want to reserve some judgment. I think he's done very well, but as I've said, there are big tasks ahead, and he must show that same level of consistency right through the season. So
Mhm.
far, so good, but I can't judge a player just on 20 minutes of a first debut game. I think that's extremely optimistic. It's not wrong, but it's not right either.
And you agree it's driven by the fact they've always known he's a good player.
Well, even then, yeah, he's a good player, but there's a good player and there's a good player. He's a young player. He still has it all to prove, in my opinion. He really does. He's done well, but he still has it all to prove ahead of him. I think he's capable of it, but from my personal point of view, I'm going to wait and see before I start heaping accolades on him.
Yeah, which is an excellent argument. By the way, Nani, again, almost is like he likes to show his strength, but if he starts to involve others and play as a team, it will come easier for him and probably will be perceived as a much better player. This stop-start and both Nani and Jackson do frustrate me. You find that the opposition defenders get time to regroup. I hope Nkunku doesn't get injured. I think he's fine. The signs are good, and I think we're being cautious also. Not that he's been bad, but the manager, I think we understand probably. We're still gradually playing him into full fitness, if you ask me. Nani has to be benched. I don't think so. I think he's going to get a start, but the manager will be paying attention. Neto has bands of goals, in him, and his contribution with Parma will be heavenly. I think Neto, he prefers playing on the right hand side, actually. So I think Nani, there will be competition. I think everybody will get good enough game time, in my opinion. But let's see, productive dribbler. That's a great phrase, coach. Yeah, that's how I see it. But thank you for understanding, Khan. This again, I am totally in agreement with Bobby. I think he made a good sense there. The sample size, we have to pay attention to that. But I'd argue that the praise for Sancho is driven by the fact that a lot of people does know that he's a good footballer. We actually at one point wanted to sign him before he joined Dortmund. I think so. I remember Nini preaching that we should sign him and all that. Even after he joined Dortmund, Nini was also preaching that we sign him. He's an excellent footballer. I think that's what drives that. But I think there's a need for cautious optimism. Let him perform and perform consistently. But also, you could argue the support he's getting from Chelsea fans. I think that will go a long way. If we're being honest, he needs that support. He needs that love. Some players are like that, and without that love and that support, he's not gonna really be fighting us in this consistently. So I'm glad there's a song for him already, and he's enjoying the support he's getting from the fans. We watched the Sancho at Dortmund. We know what he can do. Yep. Even at United, we saw him play well, and actually. He finished the season at United at the time as their second with the highest number of most chances created. Again, yeah, as their second best creator. So I don't know. I think it's just the manager. I think it's an ego thing, in my opinion. We survived 60 minutes. Yeah, I know. If anybody argues otherwise, they're not being truthful. Honestly, he was brilliant on the day. And this says, well, Sancho always have 9, 10 games. No, obviously not. But the way he took on the game suggests that he's a new, again, that's not new to this radio, and he is better than some players we already have. Looks at yeah, in my opinion. Make no mistake, Nani is good. Yeah, nobody's arguing against that. We've always defended him here. There was a time his contributions were compared to Mudryk. Mudryk has been loved and supported, and I am beginning to think some things are never to materialize. Don't give up on my boy, but yeah, he needs to show some again show some improvement. Still early. Time is precious, and Mudryk needs to understand that every second he plays now, he's on borrowed time. Yeah, because we have too many players that can fulfill his role. Nani is an average player. Let's just be honest. He needs to play for Crystal Palace. Histon, I think that's a good player in that can become even better. Good evening to you too, Mukola John. Nice to see you. I'm watching you live at Uganda. Tell me Chelsea injury only Reece James. Not just Reece James. That kid we signed from Aston, was it Aston Villa? Has he recovered? Kellyman, it's still injured, but we don't even remember we signed them. I think the only concern is Reece James. Yeah. Some reporters are suggesting he suffered a setback. Some are saying he hasn't the hamstring hasn't healed properly, not hasn't healed as expected. So I wouldn't say he suffered a setback, given that we read multiple reports here, and I think the only sensible thing is the one that suggests that the hamstring hasn't healed as expected. So I wouldn't call that a setback. I hope Chukwuemeka, I don't know if he wants to play. Chances are he'd leave for game time. I see Enzo Fernandez being dropped. I don't think so. If you paid attention, we actually missed him in that game. The reason that we had, again, those guys were not as much as they were was because we weren't able to control the game. Yeah, in his absence until Tosin and the others came on and changed things a bit. No, Enzo Fernandez is an important part of this team, and I don't think he's going anywhere. Did you see Duran? Yeah, I've always known, again, how I describe him. He shoots instinctively. As long as he's on range, he shoots. He doesn't take a second. In most cases, doesn't take a second of first touch. Just shoots. He shoots instinctively, and look, he can shoot from outside the box too. He would have been a good signing for us. The only issue I had at the time was the asking price, which I can't remember right now. There was a time we were told they'd be asking for £80 million or so. Reece James' real age is 47 years old. All right, Bobby, anything else you want to say before we call it a day? It's been an excellent discussion, very enjoyable one indeed, and I'm glad. Again, we'll be doing the same time every day. The Blue Morning Show, the one that comes on 3 a.m. PST, will still come back if we get help. So, Bobby, anything else? And this is saying I am eagerly.
There's nothing else for now, Coach.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Waiting for Lavia, Coach. Yep. We are maintaining the delicacies for the feast to start soon. Yep. What a player. And I'm glad he's back in full training. So I want to say thank you to JC for finding the time to join me, join the chat. Thank you for Kenyan Revolutionary. I'm trying to pronounce it as you spelled it. And Amaya Fawale, who else was here? Is here or was here? Brian Mawoko, nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. Anybody else? And who else? And thank you, Bobby, for finding the time to join me on the panel. And if I missed your name, apologies. See you guys next time. God bless us all and cheers.